Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Grief Drums, and in today's video, we're gonna have to do it. We are gonna have to do it. We are covering the Tachanka rework. So, for those of you that are listening, you've probably noticed that my voice may sound a little bit different. I haven't got much of a voice left, and the reason for that is I've just got back from the 6th Invitational in Montreal, in which I may have been screaming quite a bit during the major games. I wanted SSG to win when it came down to it. I was supporting BDS because they were the last team left from Europe, so I had to back them. And you know what? I don't have much of a voice left. I really don't, as you could probably hear. But nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss the Tachanka rework that was announced during the Invitational. And I want to start by saying you have no idea how difficult it is to keep these kind of things under wraps and not talk to anyone about it after you've seen it. It's horrendous. It's so damn bad. Like, we went to basically a capture event in Montreal, and we got to play the new season early. Now, obviously, Tachanka is not coming this season. He's coming this year during year 5, but he's not coming this season. He's not on the TS, and we're not going to see it anytime soon. So we're going to have to wait off for that. But we got shown this PowerPoint presentation of all the new things, and we got shown the clip, and pretty much got shown what you guys see at the Invitational during the reveal panel. And I knew about it from like the Thursday, I think it was. So I was out there with people like Red and Ellie, Vinny, and loads of other people, and they were all asking how it was. And it's so difficult to just not say, oh my god, Tachanka looks insane. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to break down exactly what we know about Tachanka. Obviously, we don't know all of the ins and outs of it. I only know what you guys have seen. So we're going to break down the video that got showcased during the Invitational reveal, and we're going to try and figure out everything we can from it. So let's go ahead and play it.
What are you guys doing to Tachanka?
So the first thing, of course, is that the core of the issue is the turret itself. The concept of being immobile doesn't really fit with siege gameplay, like you all know. So we've taken the weapon out of the turret, and as a first step, made it a primary weapon, meaning that you can just run around. And as you can see here, it has a huge amount of destruction power, so you can just use it for rotations. Like, it's a hell of a weapon now.
And then he's also getting a gadget?
Yeah, he's also getting an ability, which is an Incendiary Grenade Launcher.
Ooh.
And as you can see in game, it's pretty wild. So the whole concept here is that it's an area denial tool. It's something that you can pretty much spam projectiles with. It makes these little patches of fire on the ground, so you can use them just to slow down attackers' progression, deny a plant spot. So it's a sort of alternative to smoke, if you will.
He looks very exciting, and based on the reaction of the crowd, I know you guys can't wait to get your hands on the new Tachanka.
So that is the clip in its entirety. That is what was shown at the 6th Invitational. That was what I got to see. That is what you guys will have got to see if you watched it. And you know what? I think there's a lot of information we can take from this. So not only has his primary weapon been turned into the LMG, he can now walk around with this thing. We don't have a massive amount of information on how many rounds you have, how many magazines you have. I'm assuming it's going to stay the same as it currently is. It kind of looks like they have just taken it and allowed you to move around with it. However, you will notice that he's got a slightly different aiming reticle on it. It is a little bit different. However, it seems to be fairly similar to some of the other holographics that we've been getting recently. But this looks like it's a reflex sight, which is interesting. Now, the other thing about this is I initially thought that this was a bipod. However, it turns out that it's just on the left-hand side of the weapon and not on the right. So it quite literally does just look like the way he holds the weapon. I was really hoping it was going to be a bipod that you could latch onto things like the sandbags or green boxes or something like that. But I'll be honest, I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, one thing we did see was just how much destruction this weapon is going to be able to do. Now, the devs did mention the fact that he's going to be perfect for setting up the site, for creating rotates and, you know, just setting it up how you want it, setting up lines of sight to be able to utilize later in the game. And I think this is going to be really, really powerful. This does also mean that he's probably going to have quite a limited amount of ammo so that he can't just rip the entire map apart. Now, the next big thing I really wanted to take a look at, now that the weapon is sort of, you know, as it is, I mean, the recoil looks fairly good on the weapon. It doesn't look too bad, and we don't know about the ammo count, but we pretty much know everything there is to know about that. This thing right here is the next thing I wanted to discuss. This Incendiary Launcher that he has been given as a gadget. Now, for the longest time, when people are coming to my chat and ask me, you know, what would you like to see for operators? There's two things I would love to see. I'd love to see half wall reinforcement that only goes up halfway. And I've said I would love to see a tear gas grenade launcher. You know what? This is about as close as I could possibly get to that, so I am so stoked to see it in game. Whilst it isn't exactly tear gas, it is a grenade launcher, and the Incendiary does kind of work in a similar sort of way for area denial. Now, I definitely think that the devs sort of messed around with Capital's fire, got it nailed and said, you know what, this is perfect. And then out of nowhere, we start seeing more and more operators that can do things like this. For example, Goyo and now Tachanka. So I am extremely surprised at just how many operators we're seeing with this sort of utility. But nevertheless, defenders having area denial is becoming more and more prevalent, and it's clear that the developers of the game want to try and make it so that you have more than one option to do a job. Perfect examples when they announced Thermite, Hibana and Maverick were going to have competition in the form of a secondary gadget that allows the attackers to hard breach. The devs are really trying to shake up the meta here, and with smoke being so prevalent in Pro League, being able to utilize someone else like Tachanka is huge. So after sitting down for about 5 or 10 minutes and scrutinizing over absolutely every single tiny little part of this video, I've pretty much broken down the fact that when Tachanka uses these, they bounce 3 times. Every single one of them that you look at bounces 3 times. Or at least on the third land, it then explodes and detonates. So you kind of need to take that into account. I don't think you're going to be able to just shoot this over a really long distance and it will then explode. I think by looking at it, every time it's going to bounce twice, and then on the third landing, it's going to actually explode. Now, obviously, we're talking about this very early days. There is a lot of potential for this to change, but as it currently stands, in the video, we see him shoot 5 individual rounds. Now, if you do look at this, this is the cocking handle on the side of the weapon. If it was out of ammo, it would stay all the way back. The fact that it doesn't, and the fact that it actually returns to its forward position, means there are still more rounds within the weapon. It could be just one more. It could be the case if it's got 6 rounds that it can utilize. However, I've tried to break it down a little bit to further understand exactly how long this lasts in order to compare it to other operators such as Smoke and his area denial. Now, if you watch any Pro League or if you play a lot of Smoke and you're fairly confident with how to use him, you'll notice that a lot of people wait, hopefully, for the last 30 seconds of the game. And that's because each of Smoke's smoke grenades lasts for 10 seconds, and he gets 3 of them. So if you can get down to the last 30 seconds and then utilize them, you can guarantee a victory pretty much. So working on the basis that 30 seconds denial is roughly where the devs want to be sitting with this sort of a thing, let's go ahead and look at Tachanka. Now, we know for a fact that he's got 5 in this weapon because we see it. There could be 6, but we'll work from the assumption of 5. Now, if we watch this clip carefully, after the first grenade is fired, Tachanka then goes ahead and fires the second one, and then by the time the second one has gone off, the first one has extinguished. Now, if you look carefully, it lasts roughly 5 seconds for that first grenade to fully extinguish. Now, if we work off the assumption that each grenade covers an area for 5 seconds, and he's fired 5 of them, quick maths means that that's 25 seconds. Now we assume that he hasn't fired all of his rounds. We reckon there's still one in the actual weapon itself. That will put us up to 30 seconds. So if he's got 6 of these grenades, he can cover an area for 30 seconds, which exactly matches Smoke. It does look, however, like it is a smaller radius, and it also kind of looks like it's a little bit of a smaller radius than, say, Capital or Goyo. The biggest thing about this, though, is the fact that he can bounce them. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map bank, for example. Now, if you look at this section here, Very often, attackers will attack the basement and they will try and open this wall here with thermite. Once that is open, they turn around and they try and do a turtle plant with their back just inside of the site, and they will try and get the diffuser down. Meanwhile, smoke will try and smoke them out, or you will see a nitro thrown over the top to try and counter this. What if, however, you didn't have to wait for that wall to open up? Instead of waiting for thermite to open that wall, what if you can bounce these off of the door frame and out to where thermite is planning on opening the wall? You'd be able to do it from relative cover because you are reasonably well hidden. The attackers haven't quite made it in yet, and although they can get pretty cheeky angles through a tiny little pixel, you can also do the same. But what if you knew thermite was about to try and open that, and you was able to put one of these off the door frame exactly where he's standing, and at the very least hurt him, or even better, kill him? Bouncing these off the door frame and into servers is going to cause a lot of trouble for the attackers. It's going to just make their life a living hell. And if you're able to weaken even just one of them halfway, that's one less attacker you're potentially going to have to deal with. You're only going to need to land like 1 or 2 bullets in comparison to what you would have had to land. Again, assuming you haven't actually killed him outright. Now, initially when I saw this, I thought, you know what, that is far too strong. I really did. But after sitting down and reviewing it like this and figuring out just how many he's probably got, how long that's potentially going to last for, the area it covers, and also the weaponry that he's got, I don't actually think it's that different to Smoke. I think he is a genuine alternative to Smoke. He's got a weapon that can be used to open stuff up, just like Smoke's shotgun. He's got the same weapon is able to utilize over long range, pretty much like Smoke's SMG-11, you know, mid-range gunfights you'll be able to get engaged in. He's got the area denial, and it lasts for roughly 30 seconds, but you can do it in a slightly different manner. The fact that you can bounce these means you don't have to actually show your head. You can quite literally ping it off the roof and down to roughly where you want it to be. I'm really excited for this. I really genuinely am. At first, I was kind of worried. I thought, you know what? They're going to take him from being ridiculously underpowered to ridiculously overpowered just for the sheer hell of it, just for some fun and really make him into the lord that we actually know. But I think the reality is we need to trust the devs because they know what they're doing. They genuinely do. These guys, they've clearly been testing this for an extended period of time, and they're very, very good at what they do. Look how long the game has lasted, and look how many of us it's kept coming back time and time again. I personally am really excited for this, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. Did you lose your mind when you first saw it like I did? Let me know down in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting a thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, when I hopefully get my voice back, stay reckless and relentless.